Live. Joshua Smith with my good friend and business partner, Jim Brown. Every single week we come at you guys here every Wednesday, 2:30 p.m. Pacific time, 5:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and just talking about anything and everything when it comes to health and overall optimization, how to go out there and, live your best life that you possibly can through healthy practices and so forth to, again, go out there and just, be the best versions of ourselves mentally, physically, health, and from a health component to go out and do what we got to do. So wanted to come at you guys today and talk with you about overall eye health. This is something that is not looked at, or I guess I should say isn't a focus of most. And I know I'm guilty of that, man. This was something that I didn't pay attention to for the longest time until it became a problem. Just like so many things, like, dude, I didn't really, didn't really pay attention to money until I lost it and it became a problem and I was forced to pay attention to it. And I figured, okay, I got to figure out some best practices here. And, so I wasn't paying attention to eye health. Slowly, things started happening. Of course, losing not just of course, but losing my vision to the point where needing a prescription, developing dry eyes, having my eyes just by the end of the day, man, feeling that impact, that eye strain and all these other things. And, our environments are changing and there's a lot of things today that we got to be conscious of. And this stuff can impact so many other things like sleep and other things in our lives. So want to do a deep dive on that, which just pick Jim's brain here, because his expertise is just, amazing when it comes to this stuff. So, first off, Jim, just give us an idea, man, of like, again, it's something that a lot of us don't pay attention to until it becomes a problematic where it disrupts our day-to-day life. And then when something starts to disrupt our day-to-day life, well, then, we're kind of forced to start paying attention to it, right? But what are the things that we got to be cognizant of and have awareness of that can lead to, so many of the eye issues that we're seeing so many people have today?
Well, I think the most common thing that most people are going to suffer from, and probably the thing that you're going to notice the most typically is, a significant portion, or it starts slow, portion of your vision going, or your ability to focus on things, right? Either nearsightedness or farsightedness develops. Usually, it's something like you can read a screen up close, but then when you go to focus on something else, or vice versa, right? You're able to see pretty well. You can pass the driving test, but you can't read, vitamin labels or, see your computer screen without glasses. And those type of things, I think, develop over time. And what most people do is accept it and just say, okay, I'll get a pair of readers or whatever it is. Typically, especially for, my age, everybody starts to get reading glasses and everything. And hey, I use those too for some applications, right? So even for some small supplement bottles now, I can't read, period, without help. But I fought that for a long time. I can still use my computer without readers or enhancing my screen or in my cell phone. But typically that's the first thing to start to go. And I think that I've kind of been able to fend that off, or at least slow it down significantly, because I don't know how else to explain it other than, my job in outside sales, where I'm driving around, I'm having to read. Back in the day when I first started noticing my sight changing, I started my outside sales job and my sight improved. And it was because, I'm convinced it was because I was reading back at that time MapQuest directions or whatever on a sheet of paper, and then trying to find these addresses and street signs. And I did that, literally 8 to 10 hours a day, 6 days a week. And my eyesight improved significantly after that, because before I was stationary in the same spot. I was in school and worked in a store and a gym, right? So I'm a believer in exercising your eyes. And if you're experiencing some of these, what people call age-related sight deficiencies, that flexing that little muscle that changes the lens in your eye is essential. And that's really what we're talking about when we're talking about kind of age-related vision loss like that. It's a little muscle that flexes your lens back and forth, and that atrophies over time. And so if you can actively exercise that, then I believe, I don't think you can stop it altogether, but you can definitely slow it down. And that's probably the most common thing that people are going to experience right away with their eyes. And that's simply just exercising your eyes. Other people have talked about it at length, but basically, if you're stuck at reading a cell phone all day or a fixed length like your computer all day, and you don't actively focus on things that are in different distance lengths, you're not exercising that muscle, and it's going to get worse over time, or it'll be worse faster. And so, if you're at your office or whatever, it's important to have something that you can look out and focus on. All my desks are set up to where I can look out a window and do far and close, and I keep doing that all throughout the day. And I believe, even on the times that I'm not driving constantly and doing my job, reading Google Maps on my phone and looking out at the highway or whatever, I feel that my eyesight starts to deteriorate. So it's kind of a, especially at where I'm at with my sight and age, if I don't exercise it actively, I start to notice it really fast.
Yeah, dude, I read a great book years ago called Move Your DNA. I believe the author was Katie Bowman. But this, brilliant doctor, I believe she's a PhD in biology and so forth. But it was, the book, Move Your DNA, right? So, it's just about movement and how the lifestyles that we've now adapted to, movement has been restricted in every way of life, unless you're intentional with it, but including eyes. She's talking about how, if you look at the average person they sleep 8 hours and they get up, walk over to the kitchen, eat a meal, then go shower, then they sit in a car, commute to work, they walk from their parking spot to a desk, they sit all day, right? So like the average person gets like 20 total combined minutes of movement a day, right? But she also talked a lot about eyes in there and eye health. And, I thought she put it to, pretty brilliantly, where she said, it's like think of, you break your arm and you have a cast on that arm. Well, that arm and that muscle, deteriorates and atrophies because you're that lack of use. So then specifically the eye, she's like, think about it. Okay. Like kids, you go to school, you're in this box, right, where you're only looking at, so far ahead, right? So, and she backs up all the stats with the amount of kids that now have eye problems. It's just at, at rapid rates and at record highs of eye issues for kids, adults. So not even just age. Well, I shouldn't say it's age related. It's just, advancing so fast that it's impacting at such a younger age than maybe it did in the past. But she's like, our whole lives of us being in this box where we're not having that long distance, we're not looking miles, it just becomes this issue where we're just, it's like, again, it's just like having a cast on your eyes, like thinking of it in that way, where then it creates that problem. Because again, it's not forcing your eyes to go out there and, as you mentioned, be strained and have to use those other muscles to go out there and expand and grow. And we know that the body shuts down and quits using anything it doesn't need. Right? Just like we talked about a few weeks ago, testosterone replacement therapy, of you start, injecting synthetic and testosterone in your body. Your body's like, okay, well, I don't need to produce this anymore on my own. I'm just going to stop. My son, he was born and his eyelid muscle never developed. He could never open up his eye on his own. So we've had to go in and do have surgeries done and every so frequently, where they essentially put artificial ligaments to hold that open. And the doctor's like, hey, the reason it's so important to get on this and immediately and stay on this and keep an eye on this of, if that eyelid gets in the way of blocking that vision, the body's going to be like, I don't need that eye. And it's going to shut down that eyeball and he'll go blind in that eye, right? I don't know. I just wanted to bring that up because it's just, allowed me to, it was a way of how she articulated that. Allowed me like, okay, that makes sense. Cause I think like most of us, dude, shit, man, I get up, I don't know, like you get up, you go to the office. I'm not out there without doing these intentional exercises. I'm going to, have you walk us kind of through. I know you just mentioned some of them, a little bit, but it's, dude, I'm here all day, right? Or I go home and it's just watching the kids at the kitchen table. Then you're watching TV and then you're looking at your phone. And then, it seems like it's the extremes, So it makes sense as to why this is, hurting vision, whether it be near or far, right, of why that would happen with the environments that we have today. So then when you talk about your like just being intentional with, okay, so like you make sure throughout the day that you are taking set times to go out there and then, I mean, essentially putting yourself in a different environment. So if you've been looking here close up at your computer doing work, right, then you'll go take a break, go out there and look far on the horizon and use peripherals, right, so forth. Like, I mean, how often are you doing that? And then is there a certain length of time that you found best of going out there and doing that? Like, is it 2 minutes, 5 minutes, right? And then again, like, is there a certain amount of frequency throughout the day that you found? I mean, if you think of this like working out, like how many, sets and reps, right, that you're doing with that you found to be most effective?
Well, observationally, if I'm working at my desk, fortunately, I overlook a lake, so if I'm working on my computer, I just actively look outside every few minutes. And that really keeps my eyes a little bit, I don't know, more pliable, whatever. I don't know what it keeps them. It keeps them in a better shape all day. So I could stay at my computer and work all day without having eye strain. If I'm look out at the lake every few minutes, try to focus on something, whatever. If I'm working on an iPad or my phone for a significant portion of the day, or at least a couple hours without breaks like that, then my eyes are not good for the rest of the day. It takes hours to recover. So just for me, I constantly try to do it throughout the day. I think Andrew Huberman just went over this in one of his podcasts, and he said if you're taking a 5-10 minute walk 2-3 times a day outside, that's probably going to fix it. Just for me, it takes a little bit longer time to do that, more frequent. That's just sitting at your desk looking around. As far as exercises and stuff, there's a couple of them that most people agree on. And one of the most important one, or the ones that I feel is most effective, is just you can use your thumbnail or a pencil or whatever, and you bring it very close to your eyes, very close to your face, focus on it, and then move it away at arm's distance. And you repeat that while you're keeping your focus on that object 3 or 4 times. And then there's some where you can move it side to side and back and forth. I think that one is probably the most effective one, and that's one that I've done for as long as I can remember. And not that I'm beating aging, but I've definitely delayed it. And when I don't do those exercises, or when I'm not actively outside, driving a lot, doing those things, focusing at different lengths, then I can feel a difference immediately.
Yeah, it's like to the point now where, dude, like when I'm sitting on the couch going to TV, like I can't read the damn thumbnails on Netflix.
Yeah.
I'm like, well, I'm not going to go buy a bigger TV. Yeah. Right. So I mean, I could, but I'm like, that's not the solution. Is not the bigger TV. The solution is to deal with the problem at hand. Okay. So then you're and again, all that makes sense, man. It's got to put yourself in these different environments, flexing that muscle and so forth. Just thinking of, I guess, of kind of like going to the gym for your eyes and doing intentional exercise for your eyes. And I know there's other apps out there, and things that you can do. I heard about Tom Brady, because I guess the quarterback, you can only imagine how important, that eyesight and peripherals and whatever is, that like he was a big and is a big proponent of doing consistent exercise like you're talking about, for his eyes, does them consistently. Which is obviously, whatever he's doing is
it's working. It's working.
So then from there, I know that, there are, the great thing is now with science and the advancement of technology, we're able to learn so much more about these things. So from not just an exercise standpoint and an environment standpoint, but also from a supplementation standpoint, there's just certain things, that can go out there and impact this stuff positively. So, when it comes to that, what are some of the things that people can do to be proactive with eye health, especially with, all the exposure to, blue light and so forth? Whoops, sorry guys, I lost Jim there for a second. I see he's back in here.
Sorry about that. We're having storms today, so.
Oh yeah. I mean, Florida, man. That's the you got the heat and dust storms here, and then you got there's always that that negative place that you live. But anyway, man. So I don't know what you heard there, but I was just going into gonna have you just give us your input on when it comes to, all right, so we got exercise that you can do, right? But then from there to also combat and even reverse some of these, damages that can happen to the eyeballs. Cause it's not just the perception, right. But it's also, man, all the exposure to all this blue light and all this stuff, which, look, you can wear, blue blocker glasses all day long, but you're still going to have exposure to it at times. And it's still going to have that negative impact with eyes. But I know that, there's so many amazing supplements and so forth today that can also not just help combat the future problems, but also can help reverse some of the damage that's already been done. So can you kind of break that down from a supplementation standpoint of what those may be, what those specific supplements are, and then how specifically they can help?
Yeah, I'll get into that, and not to sound like it's just this whole thing's just an ad for our company, because we make an amazing eye supplement. But yeah, first of all, blue light. Well, again, I have to credit Andrew Huberman because he breaks this down very simply, and well, I shouldn't say simply, in vast detail. He breaks this down, but blue light serves an important purpose, right? So, and it has to do with your circadian rhythms and the way that your body functions, and back to like natural world where we're attuned and we have things that are going to happen based on the time of day and biological processes that are supposed to be timed off of that. And so one of the things that he recommends, and I've been doing, I like a lot, is getting natural light first thing in the morning and then before at sunset to kind of tell my body when it's time to do, either wake up or start the process to get ready for bed. So blue light's important. I don't think that, blocking blue light all day is a great idea. Even at nighttime when you're starting to shut down the house or whatever, or you're getting ready for bed, I don't know if blocking blue light altogether is the best thing. And I haven't had great experience with that. What I find better is to lower all the lights. And then he talks about having your lights at a certain angle, where earlier in the day, if your light is higher, that's going to be an indication of your body wanting to stay awake. If the light is lower at nighttime, not lower in intensity, but actually lower, location lower, that it tells your body, it gives your body a different indication, time to go to sleep, basically. And again, I'm painting with a broad stroke here, but I'm not sure if blocking blue light is really the answer that is going to cure everybody's whatever, right? Especially for eye health. What I do believe in, though, is preparing your body to deal with any damaging effects that you may get from blue light or other radiation that's going to hit your eye and cause, antioxidant or oxidation damage. And that's having the correct antioxidants on board to deal with that. And so with that in mind, that's why we came up with a formula called CARE. Or if you're just going to piece something together, if you're looking at different companies, most commonly you're going to find like a lutein complex. And then there's a couple marigold complexes like xenophine and azathioxin that have specialized derivatives in them or antioxidants in them that's pretty difficult to get through diet. And so I would look for those. Saffron is another thing that I would want to see in an eye formula. And, we have blueberry and pine bark and other specialized antioxidants. And all that plays into preparing your eyes or giving your eyes the ability, and a lot of the other cells in your body, the ability to fight off all this oxidative damage. And so rather than blocking blue light, I would learn how to use blue light to your advantage. And again, Huberman goes through that pretty extensively, when to expose yourself to blue light and from what angle and what intensity, and how to use that to your advantage to wake your body up and put your body to sleep rather than just blocking it all out.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, like you said, man, you could try blocking it out, but it's, I guess it depends on maybe what you do as well, but for somebody like me, dude, that's just not a possibility. It's not a reality. It's, I'm creating content all day long, in some way, form or fashion. And, like you look at all the lights in my studio here when I'm creating content and throughout my whole entire building. I mean, these are 6,500, on the lumen scale, which is the highest variation of daylight that you can possibly get in a light, right? Which is intentional because it makes it replicate. It shoots the best, type of video, when we're shooting specific videos and stuff in here. But then from there, if I'm not doing that, then which I need that specific light, then I'm looking behind a computer screen all day. And yeah, I can wear blue blockers, and I've had, so many of those. And there's at times that I will wear those, but Then from there, if I'm doing something graphically, or like you can't see yellows, you can't,
Right.
like if you're a graphic designer, it's like you can't wear those per se, right? Like you got to be able to see all the colors. If you're a photographer, you're an editor, and it's just, we're not just going to have those glasses around all day long. And it comes from so many different sources and so forth. Then I heard I can't remember where I read this study. But it was a sleep study, and they were talking about how they test it, because our skin, your epidermis, I mean, this is an organ. This is live. It's living. Like what touches it, whatever gets absorbed in the body. So they blocked out all the light in a room, dude. So it was pitch black. All they did was tape a small LED light to the back of the kneecap, and that was even under the covers. And that still impacted that person's ability to get into REM sleep, right? Which blue light unfortunately does.
Right.
So then from there, like you can wear some blue blocker glasses, but it's inevitable that the exposure is going to happen, and some of this negative damage is going to happen that comes from it, right? So, really the ultimate key then is the exercises and, taking the right supplementation, right, to go out there and be proactive with this.
Yeah, and just to add on to what you said about the blue blocker glasses, I tried those early on, and I didn't really have an improvement in sleep or waking or anything. What has really impacted that more than anything that I've tried, as far as it relates to blue light and placement, is spending a few moments outside as the sun goes down, and then as early as I can when the sun is up, spending a few moments outside. And that has really helped shut everything. For me, it's made a huge difference. So I would totally recommend that. You can listen to Huberman to really dive deep in it. But if you have, I mean, we've discussed this before in previous podcasts, but if you get up in the middle of the night and turn the light on in the bathroom, it can interrupt the rest of your sleep. It'll shut down melatonin processing or synthesizing, the rest of the night in your body. So I think it's more advantageous to set up to how to use blue light to your advantage rather than trying to block it all out, because you just can't do that.
Yeah. And those of you that don't know who Andrew Huberman is, I know Jim's referenced him a few times, but he's just an absolutely brilliant neuroscientist that is at Stanford University. So, he's part of his role is, being a professor there, but his main role is in his science lab, and he's one of the the leading experts in his space on the human brain, and the eyeballs are part of our brain. It's not just some cords and some little things that dangle from your brain and are these lenses, right? It's like your brain got squished in the skull. There's holes, and these two parts of your brain popped out. So it's directly tied. Your eyeballs are a piece of your brain. So this dude's pretty brilliant. You guys can go check him out. Highly recommend that you do. And if you guys want to check out the supplement that we have, that we formulated, that we sell, you guys can check it out. Go to forgelife.com. So on there, we have 2 different supplements. That specific supplement is called Care. So for eye care, called Care. So you guys can check it out, see what's in it, and relatively inexpensive, and is it's a game changer for sure. So, all right, man. With that being said, dude, any last things that you think before we wrap up here that people really need to know when it comes to eye health? We talk about the exercise, we talk about supplementation, and not just our supplement that we have, but you've also kind of broken down, if anybody's looking at another eye supplement, the main supplements that it needs to have within there to make sure that if you're anybody's watching or listening to this is looking for a different supplement, doesn't want ours for whatever reason, that they can make sure that those have those in there.
Yeah. Sunglasses too. I'm kind of back and forth on that. Obviously, I'm not a huge believer in wearing, and again, I'm going to credit Huberman for really breaking this down, but, I'm not a fan of wearing sunglasses 100% of the time. Early morning, try to go without them. And then, if you're out in the dusk before sunset, try to go without them. I know that people think too, you have your sunglasses on, it protects you and all that. It does, but it also, if you're trying to reset your clock or, set yourself up right in the morning or night, it'll block those effects. But again, a lot of times we can't wear sunglasses. That's another reason why I like to take antioxidants specifically for the eyes.
Yep. Love it. All right, you guys. Well, that's what we got here for you today. So hopefully you guys enjoyed this content. Again, we are here live every single Wednesday, 2:30 p.m. Pacific time, 5:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time if you want to join us live. And then if not, you can always check these out on YouTube, on our Facebook channel, and so forth. So again, appreciate you guys being here. Keep crushing it. Keep kicking ass. And we'll see you next time. Peace.
Thanks.